Good morning, everybody. We're live here from the birdhouse. It is Saturday, September 13th. So we are midway through September and fall migration is in full swing. So we'll give you an update about some of the birds that are coming and going from the area. And we'll let you know about some of the events we've got going on here today, too. We've got a couple different things going on. First being our photo contest is still going on. And you've got one more week to submit your photos. So we are accepting photos through September 21st. So you can find more information about the photo contest on our website, which is thebirdhouseny.com. So you can check that out. It's under our events page. It's also right on the homepage, some more information about our photo contest. Also today, we've got a native plant sale going on right now from Amanda's Garden. Completely all native plants. And she's got a lot to choose from today. So that just started. So that will go on until noon or until she runs out. So I would suggest getting here earlier rather than later if there's anything specific that you are interested in. Also today, we will have a pileated woodpecker here from Wild Wings. Wild Wings has a juvenile pileated woodpecker who they rehabbed, and that woodpecker will be visiting today from 11 until 1. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I guess the woodpecker has a lot of personality, so we're really excited about that. Plus, we're also doing a food drive for them today as well. And you could do this anytime. It doesn't have to be today. But Wild Wings goes through a lot of bird food for their songbirds. And so they asked if we would do kind of a little food drive here for them where you can pay for some food for the birds. We'll put it on their account, and then they can come and pick it up as they need it. They go through a lot of live mealworms. That seems to be the number one thing that they go through with these songbirds, but then they also go through a lot of suet and peanuts. So we have a few different suggestions of things that they've asked for. And if you are so inclined, you can absolutely donate this way to Wild Wings as well by buying them some food, and they will pick it up whenever they need it, which is great. You can also do this online if you'd like to. Just in the shipping address, just put Wild Wings and just have it as a local pickup, and we will take care of the rest. But it is migration time, so we talk a lot about migration in the spring, but then there's also a lot of migration that happens in the fall, especially with things leaving town. There's a lot of warblers leaving town. The orioles, hummingbirds are all leaving, but then other things are coming back into the area. So we'll talk a little bit about all of that. Waterfowl. So there's a big waterfowl migration that happens in the fall. And some birds to start being on the lookout for are going to be things like snow goose. There's a huge snow goose migration that goes through the area, especially down in the Finger Lakes in February usually. But some of them are coming back into the area now. They are spotted here throughout the fall and winter. So be on the lookout for things like snow goose. This is a duck called a redhead. You can see how it gets its name. Things like ring-necked duck are flowing back in the area, and even horned grebe. So lots of different types of waterfowl to be on the lookout for, and these are just a few of the kinds that are flowing back in. And then warbler migration. So warbler migration in the spring is super exciting because they've got that bright colored breeding plumage. But then in the fall, they're still flowing through. There's still a lot of activity. They're just not as brightly colored, and they're not singing like they do in the spring, so they can be harder to find. But keep an eye out, even in your backyards, for things flowing through. They might not be coming to your feeders per se, but they will be hopping around in your trees and shrubs looking for bugs. They might be on your plants if your plants are going to seed. If any of your flowers are going to seed, they might be picking out the seeds from the flower heads. So be on the lookout for things like common yellowthroat, black-throated green warbler, magnolia warbler, and you can see that their coloration isn't going to be as striking as their breeding plumage, but you can still make out some of their characteristics. American redstart and bay-breasted warbler, black-pole warbler, just to name several of the warblers that are flowing through. And then there's also the kinglets are going to be coming back through the area. I've been getting some notifications of ruby-crowned kinglet on my haiku box in my backyard. This is a device that you plug in and it'll listen to the birds consistently in your backyard, and it'll make you a list. You can get notifications if you want when a new bird shows up in the yard, but it's really cool because it'll track all the birds that it hears. It'll tell you how many times it hears them, and it'll do all these different stats. So it's really, really a cool device called the haiku box, and mine has been picking up ruby-crowned kinglet in the backyard. But not only are there ruby-crowned kinglet coming back through the area, also there's the golden-crowned kinglet, which you might find passing through as well. So those are some things that are passing through right now. The birds like the orioles are for the most part gone. Every once in a while, we're now hearing of somebody that has seen an oriole in their yard recently, but for the most part, they are on their way back down south for the winter, and this is their map. And where the blue is where they are in those winter months. So they're going down to Florida, to Cuba, Mexico, Central America, and even the tip of South America. So they are on their way out, and we'll see them again come May. Hummingbirds are kind of the same story, but they are still hanging around. We'll have reports of them pretty reliably through the month. So I would absolutely keep your feeders out. And even into October, we still get reports of hummingbirds that are migrating through. And you can see why. This is their range, and the orange is where they spend the spring and the summer months. This is their breeding range. But then even those birds from way up north, they have to fly all the way back down south, and they'll pass through this area on their migration. And so I would absolutely keep your feeders out for at least a couple more weeks, maybe even longer, because we will get some scattered hummingbird reports into October. And this is their map, and they end up down really in southern Mexico and Central America for the winter, sometimes the tip of Florida as well. So they've got a long journey ahead. But some other birds to look out for at your seed feeders are going to be other migrants that are coming through, things like rose-breasted grosbeak, not going to be as brightly colored as they are in the spring. This is one in its juvenile plumage, but they will come to sunflower seed feeders. They like safflower, sunflower hearts, and white-throated sparrow. We'll start getting more and more reports of white-throated sparrow in backyards, sometimes perched right on your feeders, sometimes underneath your feeders. White-throated sparrow, and then especially as the month goes on, later on into September is when we start usually hearing reports of white-crowned sparrow. Also, usually on the ground underneath your feeders, picking up some of the seeds that have been thrown on the ground. American goldfinch are still pretty brightly yellow, but they will start to molt their feathers for the fall and winter. And so they do stay here all year. So they're not migrating through, but they will stay here all winter long. They're just going to they're going to be molting their feathers. So they're going to look quite a bit different than they do in the spring and summer months in their breeding plumage. But they're going to start that molting process soon, which is a sign that winter is on its way. But they are here all year round, so definitely keep those Niger seed feeders out for those American goldfinch. And birds aren't the only thing migrating through right now. We are in peak monarch migration season for us right now. This is the peak time where monarchs are migrating through the area. So be on the lookout for groups of monarch butterflies. They are going to migrate all the way down to Mexico, which is amazing. It can take a couple months, depending on where they start. And in Mexico, they will just form giant, giant groups by the millions. And that is where they will stay all winter long until the early spring when they start that migration back up north. So that is what they are up to right now. So you might still be getting some of your caterpillars. If you raised any monarch butterfly caterpillars, you might be you might still have some of them in the chrysalis. Right now, for the most part, the caterpillars have all formed chrysalis. Their chrysalis, and over the next couple weeks, the rest of the monarch butterflies will hatch out, and they will be on their way down south. You might see some other caterpillars in your garden, though. We're getting reports of things like black swallowtail, butterfly caterpillars in yards, especially if you have any kind of parsley or dill or fennel plants growing. They are known to lay their eggs on herbs, and the caterpillars will eat those herbs. So this is what the different instars of the black swallowtail caterpillars look like. So keep an eye in your garden for these as well. And then in the fall, we get lots of woolly bear caterpillars crawling around on the ground. Their host plants are grasses and plantains, so they can easily be found in a whole bunch of different habitats and gardens and yards. And so look for these little woolly bear caterpillars crawling around on the ground. There is winter weather folklore. I'll say that a few times fast. Folklore surrounding the woolly bear caterpillar that says, according to the legend, the wider the rusty brown sections of a woolly bear caterpillar, or the more brown segments there are, the milder the coming winter will be. The more black there is, the more severe the winter. So there is some folklore of the woolly bear caterpillar, which has never truly really been proven. But then another bug to be on the lookout for now that we're in the fall are these American oil beetles, which are quite large. You might see them in your yard on the grass, or if you're hiking. A lot of times I see them on mowed paths, just kind of crossing the grass. These are called blister beetles, and blister beetles are commonly referred to as oil beetles, and they almost look like, if you see them in the sun, they almost kind of look like an oil slick. You can kind of see how their coloration changes in the light. But their name, the blister beetle name, derives from their defensive strategy. When threatened by collectors or predators, they release oily droplets of hemolymph from their joints. The fluid is bright orange and contains cantharidin, a poison chemical compound. So really cool defense mechanism there. So you probably don't want to handle them, but they are around this time of the year. So another thing to be on the lookout for. So that is everything I have prepared for you guys today. We have lots of fun stuff going on at the store today. It's already happening now. We've got a lot going on. So definitely stop by, especially to see that woodpecker. That'll be here between 11 and 1. And we've got the plant sale going on right now too, and they will be overlapping between 11 and noon. So stop on by, and we will see you again with another live stream on Tuesday. So until then, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.